Hello, hello. So today I wanted to do a little unboxing with you. I got a pen that I have been wanting for a long time that was out of stock from Atlas Stationers, and this is my first pen from this brand as well as my first custom grind, so I'm super excited about this. Has been out of stock for a long time, and I put in an email alert when they had it back in stock, and the minute it came in I grabbed it, and I think it may have been maybe the only one that was available, or maybe only a couple were available and they sold out really fast. So let's take a look. So as you can see, it is an Esterbrook Estie. Oh wow. Ah, that is a fancy box. That is really pretty. I don't normally keep my pens in the box, but oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What are these? So there's a little, I think this is probably a standard cartridge. I believe the pen comes with a converter. And then look at this cute little envelope. What is that? Oh wow. Scan to activate your pen. I am not sure what that does. Maybe it's a warranty, or maybe it just talks about it. I'll have to have a look at that later. And then the custom nib grind that I got is the Journaler by Gena Salorino. I actually tried this pen at the San Francisco Pen Show. Manda generously let me try hers out. I'll put her link in the description if you haven't checked out her channel. Go check it out. She's a wonderful little YouTuber, and she does mostly like color swatching, ink swatching. So if you're ever looking for an ink, she will probably have it swatched for you. So go check her channel out. Okay, let's have a look inside here. Whoa, look at that. So I got the Tortoise, I think it's just called Tortoise. I keep wanting to say Tortoise shell, but it is the Esterbrook Estie in Tortoise. And let me just change the focus so we can see. Okay, so it has this gorgeous tortoise pattern here. Has these beautiful sort of pearly cream shimmery bits in here. And I got it with the gold trim, so the font here is in gold, but I'm not sure if that changes even with the silver trim, whether it goes silver or it's always gold, but it really matches well with this colorway. And there we have the nib. So you can't really tell too much. It kind of looks like a stub nib. So we'll be able to tell more when we start writing with it, but it has the little Gena logo there and the Esterbrook logo. And we have a branded cartridge here for Esterbrook. It just pops right in there. It's a really nice fit. Smooth action. This is gorgeous. And I'm probably pretty late to the game for Esterbrook's. I'm pretty sure most fountain pen fanatics have an Esterbrook in their collection, so I'm kind of excited to have one now. And I really wanted to save up for the custom grind because I have quite a few other fountain pens that have the fine, medium and broad, so I just thought, you know what, I might as well save up for a really beautiful looking pen that has a gorgeous custom grind in it. And I decided to go with Esterbrook because their nibs are very interchangeable, so you can just screw out the whole nib housing and put in another nib. So I knew I would love this design, and I thought, oh, if I want a different nib on here, then I can just change that. So I'm not quite sure how hard this is to turn out. I've seen some people having a hard time pulling it out. I hope that it's quite easy. I'm going to try with my hands first and see. No, it's pretty hard. That worries me a little bit. I don't want to ruin the nib at all. So I just used this little goulet grip, which is just a little thin piece of rubber, and was able to, without much force, unscrew. So apparently you can just get different little nib housings with these Jovo nibs in them and switch it out. So if I feel like I'm getting tired of the Journaler nib, I can just switch it out, which is super exciting. But super easy way to get more use out of your beautiful bodies and not have to buy another pen. You can just switch out your nibs. So really lovely. And it has that technology in the cap. Inside here it has a little cap liner that has a spring, kind of like the Platinum Preppies. And when you close it, you kind of have to push down. See how this is kind of springing? So as you close it, you have to kind of push and turn for it to close properly, and that helps with keeping it nice and wet till you write next. So you can see that transparency there in the cap too. Yay! Okay, so I'm going to take a look through my ink swatch collection and pick out a couple of inks that I think might go well with it. Okay, so I grabbed a couple of swatches that I think might go well. So understandably, I grabbed a bunch of sort of brown colors. I love brown earthy colors, so I have quite a few. So let's go through them and see. So the first one is this new ink by First World Press that is super pretty. It has a bunch of shimmer in it, so I'm not sure if I'm going to try a shimmer ink straight off the bat with a new pen. I don't like to do that, just in case there's any issue, you know, you can't tell whether it's clogging or anything. But I think this color goes really beautifully with these really semi-transparent parts here. The next one is Nostalgic Honey, which goes more with this color here of the pen. And you know, it's hard to tell. Sometimes you look at this swatch, but then the actual type is quite different. But I think with that shading, and the Teranashi ink is just so gorgeous with this Nostalgic Honey. It really has some variation in it, so I think that really represents that quite well. So I love that one. Then there's another Ferris Wheel Press, which is another shimmer, which I think the colorway is pretty close. It matches some of these sort of warmer tones in here, but it does actually have a little bit of a more of a green lean than a red lean with this brown. Next one is Diamine Golden Brown, which almost seems like a perfect match for all of these variations. In the mass tone here, the darker part, it really matches the parts on the end here. These inner bits are a little more red, which is really interesting. There's a variation of different browns and yellows in here. And then the more with the shading on Diamine Golden Brown, it halos quite a bit. So you do get that variation. So that one could definitely be a contender. I really like that. Then we have the beautiful Urban Lidede, which again represents all of these colors really, really well. It's a little different to the golden brown. It's much darker, so I think you would be seeing more of these dark tones than the sort of the golden honey tones. Then we're into the warmer browns, which is Moonstone, which I love this ink so much, and that kind of matches these top parts here, although these are a little redder. Then we go into Steeped Umber, which represents these parts here, which have a lot more red in them, and this color is just absolutely gorgeous. It's funny, I always thought of it as quite a dark brown, but then against these ones, it looks so sort of auburn. It's really interesting. And then we have a lighter one, which is Opera Rose. I think this could go, but it's not really representing the pen too much. We've got so much yellow in here. I think the red is kind of pushing it a bit into the wrong zone there for this colorway. I mean, you can put any ink in your pen that you want and it does kind of match this here, but I think maybe this is a little light. I just love that color. And then I went for some really bold purples. This is a new one by First Wheel Press, which is Harlequin Dream, and I think it's a really nice complement to this colorway. And then kind of along the same vein, but a little more subdued, is the Mystic Storm, which I think is maybe a little bit classier for this type of pen, so that could be a contender. And then we have Pilot Hiroshizuku Fuyu Shogun, which is just even a little bit more subdued than that, which I absolutely love. But you know what, I think I'm really leaning more towards these browns here, so I think I kind of like Mystic Storm. And let's put it here, Mystic Storm. I kind of like maybe Golden Brown and Lidede, maybe the Golden Brown, I think. And then the other one, maybe Steeped Umber. So I think it's out of these three that I'm gonna choose. I love them all and will definitely try them all in the pen at some point, but I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go ink it and then we'll come back and you'll find out which one I chose. Okay, so I'm guessing you guessed from the bottle that I was inking it from that I chose golden brown. But it really was a hard decision, and I am going to try these guys out. But I just felt like the golden brown represented this pen so well. And in the writing, this is with a glass dip pen, so it's going to be probably more in this lighter yellowish shade. So let's try it out. So I'm just going to test it out in my Hobonichi notebook here. Alright, so let's see how this pen writes. Okay, so this is Esterbrook Estie. Oh, look at that shading. And it is in Tortoise. And it is a Journaler Nib. Wow, it really puts down quite a lot of ink when you're just doing non-cursive writing, just printing it out. It's really nice. And this is Diamine. Golden brown. And I think this goes really well with this. It's a great choice, if I do say so myself. And let's have a look at these lines. So, wow. So you get really thin sort of lines going down on the diagonal. And then straight down we have these nice thick lines that drop a ton of ink. Super smooth. There is some feedback to it, which I really like. It's not like glassy smooth and slipping all over the place. It's really nice. You have a lot of control with it. Yeah, so it's kind of in between a stub and a medium. So you get this variation, but it's just super interesting. Look at all this variation on the shading here. It just drops ink so beautifully. If I hold it at a little bit more of an angle, let's just write hello. So that's more of a cursive than my broken cursive. And I tend to press really hard. You can see I dropped so much ink here because I push really hard. When I slow down and do cursive, you can kind of see that it's all this one sort of tone. But this is how I normally kind of write in my journals and stuff. So if you're on the fence, especially if you're a left-hander and you're thinking, oh, you know, I don't really like stub nibs, and I actually find them really quite hard to write with. This one is not like that. It is really kind of unusual and just gives you that variation. It's really smooth. I know there's a ton of different Esties out there and they're all gorgeous, but I just find this one so classy, and I'm really surprised by these little kind of milky spots of chatoyance there that just add that extra bit of interest, and just, you know, it's just so beautiful. So you can see this up close. Look at that shading. It's so beautiful, and you can see on these E's at the top just that kind of line variation and the difference here between these side strokes and upstrokes. I don't know why that, I think that should be kind of similar to that, so it's kind of odd that I didn't draw those lines properly maybe. It is quite an investment, especially with the custom nib grind, but if you're really into fountain pens and you're really into writing, this is definitely a different experience than just getting a stub nib or a medium nib. And I've been kind of hesitant to invest in any custom nib grinds being a left-hander because not even just being a left-hander, I just hold my pen kind of weird and inconsistently, and I was worried that it wasn't going to write properly or be really scratchy, but this Journaler Nib is great. So if you're a left-hander, I wouldn't hesitate getting this. It's really lovely, and it just adds that little more variation to your writing. So thanks for joining me, guys, for this unboxing, and I hope it was helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!